Yeah, okay. Great then. So, warm welcome to everyone and a good afternoon. And we are joined by Manohar today to celebrate his success. So, congratulations, first up.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Probably you might want to start by introducing yourself to everyone.
Yeah, sure. As you know, myself, and as I'm basically from Karnataka, and I did my schooling and pre-university school studies in near to my village itself. So I graduated from after a PUC. I got into the degree of engineering through CUP. So it was a mechanical engineering basically. So I studied mechanical from 2014 to 18 and I completed it in 2018. After that, I was working as a mechanical engineer. So for 3 years, as a HVAC project engineer, I was working. That time I was got into means I was invited to use Excel, Excel access you like to generate the reports or some other kind of works. So, maybe it's what you can say. I have to generate a bills to the client, whichever related to the project. So,
Okay.
I was mostly doing the Excel. In that one, there was a lot of while doing that Excel, I got into these logical operations in Excel, we do use that operations to generate a lot of quick responses and to generate the
Okay.
bills in using. So that time, I was got more interested on the programming part. Like I got more confidence in that one, programming portion. I explored myself and I wanted to upskill myself in that space. So I
Okay.
was looking at that time. So yeah, I was a bit searching for a courses like data science, and I was good in mathematics as well in the previous my studies. So that time I was searching for institutes, and I referred some of the institute, and I found that time Pradeep actually called me to for the regarding the course. Yeah, after that, I went to the institute and I joined. I met with Pradeep Kumar, and yeah, after that, I taken this. I was not feasible with offline course, so I took online course, and yeah, I studied through online and completed it in around April. Around April, I completed my course. Mm, After that, I was doing the projects, and luckily, after the projects, I was able to do my mock interview and able to clear it in first. Yeah, I got the placement assessment support, and I got placed in the team.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. All right. Great to hear that. Okay. So, this was, you said you had your first mock interview and you were set with that, right? That was where you cleared it. Okay.
Yes.
And how many client interviews did you appear for?
Yeah, client interview. That was 2 interviews attended. First was it was also cleared the first technical rounds. But there was a means aptitude related questions was there, so I couldn't able to clear that. And in the second interview, it was challenging questions it was asked in that second interview. Uh, it was like a very advanced level of programming questions he asked in a Python. So it was not. I was a bit basic level. I was not able to clear. Yeah, it was after that. It's a third interview, and I cleared.
Okay. Wonderful. All right. Okay. So this was something you had kind of explored Python before coming to data science, right? You had some idea about it through
Yeah.
self-learning.
So I had my friends who were working like in a technical feature software field. So I contacted him before joining the DataMites, and So he referred me hacker rank, and he told me to practice like a Python and everything in that questions like palindrome and everything. He gave us some sort of a questions to practice in a general manner so that I practiced it in before joining the DataMites, as well as I was practicing before joining any institute. I was practicing the Python for last one year.
Oh,
So
okay. Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
before coming to DataMites, joining to DataMites, but before joining the DataMites, or you can say I was having some courses through other streams like YouTube and all this. So was having a big practice with the Python, that time. And as well as I was coding before joining, I was having a machine learning and deep learning. I started those courses earlier. Like I had the around 2 to 3 courses. Like machine learning is a one course, and the NLP was going. At the time, I was alone practicing. After that, I started sequentially. I started a deep learning as well. So
Okay.
at the start itself, I planned like yeah, I had an idea. It was like a pre-planned, like I had planned what to achieve, what test at the end, what might require. So I planned that, I figured out what will be the requirement. So I started at the initial stages only like deep learning and all that. So and I was getting it time after the class and everything. So in the daytime, I was practicing that as well. Yeah, before joining, I had a the platform.
You had, okay, good idea about machine learning as well. You had
Yeah.
a good, okay, grounding. Okay, fine.
Mm.
So, what about the statistics part? Was that something you
Mm,
had recently
no,
done,
it's
or
not at all. Yeah, because you say some topic person topics were new. As I told, I was a bit into the mathematics from my early studies. So, as I exploring that time, statistics, it's like 10th mathematics, whatever I got in my 10th studies. Like it was all 10th studies, so
basic concepts?
10th standard mathematics. So
Right.
it didn't feel like any tough to me, but some concepts like a hypothesis testing and all, since it wasn't new to me. So yeah, I practiced it, and it was a bit of like 3 weeks to. Yeah, it was not in a single at a single take. It was not easy to understand, but at the second or third time when I revised it, it made me easy to learn those things.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so you were, how many hours did you? What's your study pattern like, Manohar? Would you like to tell everyone
Yeah,
about that?
so it was so inaccurate that it was. I was starting. I was not having any work. Means I left the work. My previous project engineer work I left, and I started completely focused on a data science that time. So
Right.
it was like full-time study for me, and I never concentrated in some other works and all this. It was like it was so uncertain that I was studying some days like a 10 to 12 hours also. And some days it was like it's feasible. I was studying 4 hours. On average, I can say it's 8 hours study.
On average, 8 hours every day.
Yeah, definitely possible.
Very nice.
Because as I told earlier, my other stream means I was more interested in learning the deep learning as well that in the starting
Okay.
itself. So it was pre-planned before joining. So it was bit I was practicing that as well
Hmm.
along with the course whatever I was going in a data maps. I was doing that stuff like the Udemy courses. And I was going to that one. So it was taking the time was stretched and it was going around 10 to 8
Right. So,
hours a day. I can see 8 hours a day. It was
okay.
mm.
All right. Okay. Do we have any questions coming in? You have a very seasoned learner, you would say. He's put in a lot of effort. So,
Yeah.
if you'd like to know anything, Okay, looks like nothing is coming in yet. All right, so let's talk about the role itself, Manohar. So when you were searching out for jobs with the PAT team, were you specific about what profile you wanted?
Yeah, means I studied machine learning and NLP. So I was more specific on a data scientist or a machine learning engineer. So as I told earlier, I was a bit into the, I'm having a very grip on the OOPS concept as well. So
Okay.
I practiced it in bit more. And I was more interested in machine learning as well as a data scientist roles. So yeah, I was clearly into data scientist mindset.
Okay. Okay. Great. All right. Okay. Paki has a question for you. How will I prepare for Python? And will they ask only basic questions or they ask for coding also?
Yeah, I do get this question a lot. Yeah, these days. Yeah, when I started my first interview, that's not from the DataMites. I personally went and I did that interview. It was for a machine learning operations engineer. So that time he asked me about like a groups concept directly. That I can't forget that question because I practiced everything, list comprehensions and everything like Python and or end to end. I prepared, but I only left the groups concept that time. I was so unfortunate that I got the same question that time. Uh, yeah, I remember it,
Right.
and I made a practice that I shouldn't give any excuse in learning process. So I practiced it after that, and yeah, it's not like should expect a basic question. Mm, You should be preparing everything. Like it will be helpful in a future, but it's not only a basic question you should expect. Even in my real interview in this Trinity Mobility, I got a recursion question. So he asked me to write the recursion question. So recursion function. Mm,
Okay.
Yeah, it's like you shouldn't expect any basic questions as well as nowadays people are asking more on data structures. I can see. If you are putting the data structures and usually the people are asking more on the dictionary, reversing of the dictionary, changing, swapping the key to value and a validity details. Like a lot of dictionary comprehension techniques are there, and you have to be prepared for those as well.
But is it all conceptual or they ask you to do coding there?
It was coding, not the conceptual. In the first round labs, I actually attended one interview, like that interview he has given 10 questions around 10 questions. So all are Python based questions. It was like I have to. It was mostly on the dictionary comprehensions and variable strings question was there. So as I remember, if we put in that dictionary and the strings as well as arrays, it will be better better to crack this.
Practice everything. Right. Okay.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah. So Punarvita wants to know, are they asking only basics or in depth? I think he has pretty much uh,
Yes.
talked about that.
Mm.
Okay. We have a question from Satya. This is on LinkedIn. So we are done with our course and have started doing the projects. Okay. Okay. So it's great to know that you have achieved this by studying online,
Yeah,
right?
it's online study, online course. It was not offline. I was in the online batch.
Online batch. Right?
Yeah,
So
7th November is my batch. I joined on the 7th November.
so when did the batch get over?
Yeah, it was February on
February.
January end and February 1st. Around that time it got over. Yeah, around that. Mm.
Okay, great. All right. Okay, so yeah, so well, no, we don't usually ask package-based questions here. So anything that's more related to the subject, and you are free to grill him on that. He'll be very happy to. Yeah, so he's done the hard yards there. Okay, so how long did it take to do the projects, Manohar? I think you had a pretty good idea about the workflow and everything already, and you had done a lot of self-study. So how long does it take to complete your internship?
So around, actually, I plan to complete it in a 1 month only, all the 4 capstone projects. But I taken into the week that I was doing it in a group. So we were discussing the things so that they can also get understanding of what I'm doing and what we are doing in a group. So it was like I took around the 15 to 20 days to complete each project. And as you can see in my capstone project, I applied each one type of a process in each and every project so that I can explore all the concepts in from studying the regression. I applied all the regression techniques to study all the algorithms which are available. And while going to the classification, I started applying all the algorithms which can be applicable in the classification so that I can practice each and every algorithm. And even I applied some generation, like my customized algorithm, like I use some what I based on a existing algorithm. I generated one oops concept and generated that. So yeah, it was a bit. I was taking some time to practice each and every project, and in that one, I was learning a lot. How can I do? How can I improve as my project?
Right.
Because doing the project, doing the project in normal way, it's like just doing and submitting, but you don't get any positive outcome out of that. So I started and I myself convinced that I have to invest some time. Means when I'm investing some time, I have to get some outcome of that. So out of that, I given some my own perspective to the project, and yeah, I did different ways of. I approached in a different ways to complete the projects, and I took around 15 to 20 days for completing the
projects. So you did these individually, is it?
No, in a group I had done my capstone project, and client project I had done now.
Okay, right. So yeah, great way to something that he's brought up, that you can really experiment a lot, and as in its nature, your data science project, it's yes, you have a lot of trial and error, right? You keep going back.
It requires that actually, and it's helping me to as well in my real scenario.
Wonderful. All right.
In my now in the real company, it's helping.
All right. So Devashish wants to know how many rounds are there in the interview? Was it one round of technical or more rounds? And do they ask more on deep learning?
Much on a deep learning, I can say. And now it was a 3-round interview. First, they given me some written test to attend. It was having the machine learning basic concepts. And yeah, after that, they taken the verbal interview. So that time they asked me what I written in the written test, and they specifically asked me like, why you given this answer? Why is this answer under there? Like that, they asked me, my knowledge, why I answered that specific option, why I chose that specific. Yeah, it was like the tricky questions they asked. It was just a tricky to know whether we know that concept or not. They just cross verifying that thing. After that, it was a senior round. They just asked me like what was the project I done, and yeah, but I was having some previous experience. Like they asked me on that one also because
that was in the second round about the projects. It was the second round.
So it's on the third round. Third round. So see, when senior manager was doing the interview, they asked me about my previous experience. So they asked me what were you doing. So because now that is little bit interacting with these projects in real now, what they are doing is a little bit related to that one. I can use that machine learning to because yeah. So they were more interested to learn know about my previous experience. Yeah, it was about 3 round interview.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think deep learning, you had some questions from deep learning. So was there SQL also involved? Paki wants to know if you had SQL questions.
Yeah, SQL, being that no, there are some questions to be, but not much to be said. There were some questions.
Okay. All right. Only 6 or nearby 6 also PAT team will be taken for next phase of interviews. Yeah, I think it does depend, Punarvita. So that is something that, yeah, I don't know if what was your score, Manohar? Any idea?
Yeah, but it was about 7.1 or 7.2. It was.
Okay, all right. So yeah, probably in a way that it rounds off to 6, it would still be considered. If there is any feedback that feels like it's something that you can improve before going for the client interviews, then the PAT team will definitely try to get you to work on that. All right. So yeah, how long did it take you to get the job after completing the internship?
It's about 2 weeks. To be frank, it's around 2 weeks. When I started getting the calls around the 2 weeks only, I was got placed. Yeah, I was confident that yes, I learned a lot from the previous interviews. So, 2 weeks of time I got placed.
Okay. All right. So Devashish wants to know how to prepare for the mock interview and what was the score on the mock interview.
Yeah, there was this like don't excuse in learning process because let me give you some example of my own perspective of learning. As I can say, so I was not initially I was not known about the list comprehensions. To be frank, I just had a hard technique and never practiced it before my mock interview. But before going to the mock interview, that somewhere your feeling says that you have to study that. So for everyone, I suggest you have to ignore that kind of a feeling. Whenever you want to study that one, just study it. Because you don't know when you can expect that question in the future, and it will definitely help. You don't ignore such questions. Just value yourself. It's more I can say because it helps a lot. It helps a lot in practical sense.
Okay, great. All right. One from Soumya Manohar. So, how was your live interview? Would you have any ideas about the something to offer about the live interview in addition to what you've already talked about?
Yeah, so live interview. First, it was they given the questions on all the metrics. Like first one question to be for to be frank, they given just to calculate the accuracy of the score and recall. They just given the problem statement and they ask them to calculate everything. If you know the question, means if you know the formula, you can calculate this because it was on a written test. You can't even take it from some other location. Right. It was one question and they asked me some Python logic they given and they asked me to write the output in a for it. So yeah, it's like in a real interview. If you go means they will test you like this. It will be better if you are confident to say the answers and you need to have some better understanding before answering the question because you cannot answer in a wrong question. You cannot answer a wrong. You cannot give a wrong answer. You cannot argue on that one. before answering something, you need to have better, at least some basic understanding of that to answer that question.
Okay.
It's not only real into live interview, it's applicable for
Right. That's great advice. Okay. One from Kiran from YouTube. How did you improvise after every interview you attended? Or how did you improve? I think he's trying to ask. Yeah.
Yeah, I got that question. As I told you earlier, like my first question or my first interview I faced is AI ML engineer. So it was like machine learning ops engineer. So it was like deployment and everything was it. So on that day, I didn't practice to deployment and those concept. So he asked me that two questions only. After that, I understood what is the market scenario and what is the people expecting. So I grabbed those two concepts as well, and I practiced Rubes and as well as deployment as well. I've done in one of my project. So yeah, it's like that is one thing, and also in the second interview, I faced. I was knowing about the list comprehension, but not about the dictionary comprehension to the depth, very depth. But just I had a basic understanding of the dictionary comprehension. In that question, in the second interview, they asked me on a dictionary comprehension. In a depth, I have to use some depth concept to clear it in a very simple syntax. After that, I was not able to answer that day. Next day, I practiced that a lot, and I got the grip of that one. After that, there was one interview there. I was having a better understanding of the strings. I was thinking that I had a better understanding of the string. But the next question I got faced is that I was using the inbuilt functions to do the sorting and all this, things like counting the number of characters present in that string. I was using the inbuilt functions, but that interviewer asked me not to use the inbuilt function. So likewise, when we asked that question next day, I practiced like how can I do that question. So and I practiced that syntax and I learned it. So this way, like in the past groups concept, next dictionary comprehensions and the next strings on a based on a strings. It was like every interview I learned and it helped me to crack the final.
All right. Great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I think that's about it. So yeah, that's great, Manohar. So there were some wonderful insights coming in. So thank you so much for sharing that. And
Thanks for
how long has it been since you joined now?
So it's 3 weeks. Just I joined on the 25th of last month. So it's going
3 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to travel a lot?
No, not just it's and 10 to 15, half an hour. Just it's near the metro stations. It's just half an hour distance.
Great. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Manohar, and
Yeah.
all the very best to you. Congratulations once again. All right.
Yeah, thanks for contacting.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.